Until 1954, November 11th was called Armistice Day in remembrance of the end of World War I on 11/11 at 11 o'clock in 1918. It was a day to be thankful for the peace that comes from the termination of international homicidal activities. An act approved by Congress in 1938 made the 11th of November in each year a legal federal holiday, a day to be dedicated to the cause of world peace and to be thereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. But in 1954, the 83rd Congress, at the urging of veterans organizations, amended the Act of 1938 by striking out the word armistice and inserting in its place the word veterans. And so, Armistice Day became Veterans Day. Since 1954, Veterans Day has been a day to honor all those who killed in U.S. wars and all those who were killed in U.S. wars. Operationally, November 11th in 2022 is not a day on which a society remembers and celebrates the peace that flows into the heart and into the culture from stopping the mass slaughter of human beings that is called war. It is instead a military propaganda Lollapalooza Day. It is a day that tries to sanctify and to glorify the evils according to Jesus' teaching of war, and thereby make it attractive to those human beings, especially under the age of 24, whose brains are not yet fully developed, while simultaneously giving a psychological and spiritual boost to those who are still living, who butchered other folks like themselves and forever wrecked the lives of those who loved the persons they mowed down, shot dead, cut to pieces in a U.S. war. Christians might give a thought or two, or maybe more, to the fact that today, November 11th, is the universal feast day of St. Martin of Tours. Martin was a son of a pagan Roman soldier who himself was also a Roman soldier, but who, because of a conscientious objection to military service and to war, told the Roman government that he could no longer be a soldier. He told them this with these words historically recorded: "I am a Christian. It is not lawful for me to kill." By far, the most common story a Christian will hear from his or her church or see in Christian art about St. Martin of Tours is that of the Roman soldier, Martin, with a cloak around him, who sees a man who does not have a cloak and who is cold. Martin then takes off his cloak, cuts it in half, and gives half of it to the freezing man. There are thousands of depictions of this incident in Christian art inside and outside church buildings. I do not ever remember going to Mass on November 11th and not hearing this story as part or as the entirety of the priest homily. The problem is that this story is pure hagiography, mere legend, a pious fiction that has no basis in evidence from history. This is a pure piece of Constantinian Christianity propaganda. It is the equivalent of the Christian soldier who gives a 5-year-old boy a candy bar after he and his comrades have destroyed the little boy's city, house, mother, and father. This militarized picture and the story it represents, while having no basis in historical fact, is in fact the only consciousness that perhaps 98% of Christians have of St. Martin of Tours. Yet, 75% of his long life was spent outside the military as a Christian missionary, as the founder of monasticism in Gaul, as the most extraordinary healer in Christian history, as a bishop who actively protested Emperor Magnus Maximus's killing of heretics, and who protested against government interfering with church matters, and who was the first, or one of the first, non-martyrs to be venerated publicly as a saint. All these historically verifiable facts, including his conscientious objection to war on the basis of "I am a Christian, it is not lawful for me to kill," are swept out of the ordinary religious consciousness of Christians by Constantinian church leadership and replaced by the pious fiction of a militarized Christian killer with a heart of gold. Why is this done? We know why it's done, and we know it must be stopped. Why must it stop? Because it is not teaching them to obey all that I have commanded you, which is Jesus' great commandment to the apostles of the church in Matthew 28:20. Why must it stop? Because it is a lie. And a lie is evil. Why must it stop? Because it is camouflaging the evil of the mass homicidal violence of war, which soldiers execute under the guise of a Good Samaritan-like story. But it won't stop. Why? Because the Constantinian churches and their leaders garner so much wealth, political power, and prestige by propagating as just, good, and holy ideas, ways, and means that are the antithesis of what Jesus taught in the gospel, but which are the ideas, ways, and means that the elites who control governments need to keep and to enhance their wealth, political power, and their prestige.